In a move that has stunned the African continent and drawn sharp criticism both at home and abroad, Cameroon's 92-year-old President Paul Biya has officially declared that he will be running for an eighth term in the country's upcoming presidential election, scheduled for October 12. The world's oldest serving head of state made the announcement in a post on X, formerly Twitter, claiming that his determination to lead the country matched the urgency of the challenges it currently faces. But rather than being received as a rallying call for national unity or continuity, the declaration has ignited a firestorm of controversy, exposing deep frustrations over the state of leadership in Cameroon and, more broadly, Africa's ongoing struggle with political longevity and generational disconnect. How? Many are asking, does a man who first came to power in 1982 still believe he is the best candidate to lead a youthful, complex, and evolving country 4 decades later? Can a leader who will be pushing 100 by the end of another term still claim to represent the hopes and aspirations of a nation where over 70% of the population is under the age of 30? For many Cameroonians, the announcement feels less like a democratic milestone and more like déjà vu. Paul Biya has ruled the Central African country for over 42 years, lasting multiple coups, civil unrest, shifting political landscapes, and even the internet age itself. Born in 1933, Biya ascended to power following the resignation of Cameroon's first president, Ahmadou Ahidjo, and has since become a near-immovable figure on the African political stage. His rule has been cemented not just by longevity, but by shrewd political maneuvering, suppression of dissent, and, most controversially, the abolition of presidential term limits in 2008, a move that essentially granted him the legal right to rule indefinitely. But while his supporters continue to praise him as a symbol of stability, critics argue that Biya's reign has come at a steep cost. Cameroon, despite being rich in resources like cocoa and oil, has struggled economically under his watch. The country's democratic institutions are weak, and its political opposition routinely faces harassment, arrest, or exile. Insecurity has also worsened, particularly in Anglophone regions where armed separatist movements have escalated into a low-intensity civil war with no end in sight. To many, Biya's governance style, often described as secretive and out of touch, has hindered meaningful progress. Concerns about Biya's health and capacity to govern are not new, but they have reached fever pitch in recent years. Last year, he vanished from public view for an astonishing 42 days, prompting speculation about his physical and mental state. When he finally resurfaced, the government insisted he was fine but went so far as to ban any public discussions of his health, labeling it a matter of national security. Since then, most of the country's day-to-day affairs have reportedly been handled by his powerful chief of staff, further fueling rumors that Biya is no longer truly in control and is instead figurehead clinging to power through proxies. So the question becomes, why now? Why, at the age of 92, is Paul Biya seeking yet another term? His official reason is that he was responding to numerous and insistent calls from the Cameroonian people and diaspora, a claim many view with deep skepticism. Is it truly the will of the people that he remains in office? Or is it the desperation of a ruling elite terrified of what might happen when their patriarch finally steps down? This latest announcement comes at a time when Africa's political consciousness is rapidly evolving. The continent is teeming with young people, vibrant, tech-savvy, and politically aware. According to the United Nations, over 60% of Africa's population is under the age of 25. Now, these young citizens are increasingly demanding fresh leadership that understands their realities: unemployment, climate change, education gaps, digital transformation, and inclusion in global decision making. Against this backdrop, the optics of a 92-year-old leader running a country into his centennial years feels not just outdated, it feels absurd. But will Biya win? Almost certainly. The Cameroonian electoral system has long been criticized for its lack of transparency, voter suppression, and alleged fraud. In 2018, Biya claimed victory with over 71% of the vote, despite widespread reports of irregularities and voter intimidation. Prominent opposition figures like Maurice Kamto, Cabral Libi, Joshua Osei, and Akere Muna have all thrown their hearts into the ring for this year's vote. But few expect any of them to triumph unless there is a radical shift in the country's political machinery. Even former allies of Biya have begun defecting, sensing the winds of change. But for now, the ruling Cameroonian People's Democratic Movement still holds a tight grip on power. And yet, even if Biya is almost guaranteed to win, the larger question is whether this is what Cameroon really needs. Is it the national interest for one man to occupy the highest office in the land for nearly half a century? Can anyone, no matter how visionary, truly serve the same nation effectively for over 40 years without growing disconnected from its people and times? At what point does leadership turn into control and continuity into stagnation? No leader, no matter how revered, should be above democratic renewal. And certainly, no one should need 8 terms in office to leave a meaningful legacy. History tells us that great leaders build strong institutions, empower future generations, and know when to step aside with dignity. Biya's continued beat for power raises painful questions not just about Cameroon, but about Africa's broader struggle with political succession, the cult of personality, and the lack of term limits that continue to plague parts of the continent. Ultimately, Paul Biya's announcement is more than just a personal decision. It's a reflection of the broader crisis facing many African states. A crisis of aging leadership in a youthful continent. A crisis of democratic erosion in an era where people are yearning for accountability. A crisis of political ego that often overrides the urgent needs of a population desperate for change. Cameroon's future hangs in the balance, not because it lacks talent, energy, or potential, but because the past refuses to let go. The question now is whether the people of Cameroon and Africa at large will continue to accept this endless loop of recycled leadership, or whether they will finally demand a new chapter. One thing is certain: the world is watching, and history will remember what choice is made. Your perspective matters. What do you make of Paul Biya announcing his bid for an 8th term in office at age 92? Share your thoughts and insights in the comment section below. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to the New Africa channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our informative future videos. Stay informed, stay engaged, and thank you for watching.